What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Today is Monday, which means Boxing Ego Monday Mail Day. And I got a lot of great questions, so thank you for that. Just a little tip for everybody who leaves questions. I usually put up the question submission videos on Saturday at the latest Sunday for the weeks I'm doing Monday Mail Day, which is pretty regularly unless something crazy is going on that particular weekend. And you can submit your questions. The other thing is just make sure you ask good questions, which all you guys did. I just can't get to all of them based on time restraints, but the better the questions, the more thumbs up it gets. You can thumb up your own question. If other people thumb it up, it helps me select it because I'm usually more likely to select the ones with a lot of thumbs up. Or when I see people really asking the same question multiple times, then I'm usually going to select those questions because that means there's a general interest in that question if three different people are pretty much asking the same thing in different words. So let's get right into it. And these, I grouped them together because they're very similar questions. Vontae123, what do you think of Floyd vacating his belts, and who do you think is next for him? M. Garcia said, what do you think of Floyd relinquishing all his belts? Brandon Parks, what is your opinion on Floyd Mayweather relinquishing his belt? So a general interest in that particular question. And I think it could be good for boxing. Floyd at the tail end of his career, he says he's done after September. I can't say that's true. I mean, he's a real mystique type of person. He said he was done, and then he came back and fought Marquez and has been fighting ever since. So after Hatton, he retired. Then he came back, fought Marquez all the way up to this weekend. He fought Pacquiao. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to just finish the deal and really hang him up on top or not. But I think it could be a good thing just because he's already had shine. People already know. He just beat his contemporary. He beat the guy that was supposed to beat him for the last 5 years. So I think it could be a good thing because there's a stacked division. You got other people who are trying to come to the division. Lamont Peterson said possibly he would consider moving to 47. And then Danny Garcia said he wants to move to 147. So you got some players who want to move up, and it's already stacked without them. So I think it could be a good thing. You got a lot of people, Keith Thurman, who's anxious to get his hands on a real belt, you know what I mean, a real credible belt, not like an interim belt and being elevated and all that. I'm talking about one of the green belts, something like that. You got IBF champion Kell Brook, who needs to fight some better competition. Hopefully they can make some good title matches. So I think it could be a good thing because Floyd has said this before. He said a belt doesn't define me. And, I mean, he's been in the game almost 20 years. He's had so many belts. There's a picture of him with like 1 million belts, and they're just holding it. He's flashing all his bling and stuff. So, I mean, he's been there, done that. He's already done things people said he couldn't. He couldn't beat Diego Corrales. Canelo was supposed to be his toughest test. Then beat guys like Maidana, who's just game tough, comes to fight. Beat Pacquiao, the fighter who was supposed to beat him for the last 5 years. So I think it's a good thing, if anything, because, like I said, a belt is not going to define what he's done so far. So I think it could be good for boxing, let some of these young guys get a hold of it, because not everybody is going to be able to get that Mayweather sweepstakes lottery ticket. You know what I mean? He can't fight everybody, especially if he really is only fighting one more time. So I think overall it's a good thing because, again, this is already a proven elite Hall of Famer. He's already guaranteed. He's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Some people are saying he's the greatest ever. Some people dispute that. But what you can't dispute is that he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer and he's a good fighter, a great fighter. So let these young dudes go at the belts and stuff. He's already been there, done that. So that's my real thoughts on that. And then I got this question, and then also Angel Barrientinos is asking the same thing. So you had a sub question, and then also Angel asking the same thing. What do you think is next for Floyd? Like I said, I'm not sure. He's a very mysterious character, but I think he'll probably fight someone like an Amir Khan because I think at this point he's already proven. He already beat Pacquiao, who was supposed to be the top of the totem pole, the guy that would beat him. So a Keith Thurman fight would be great. I just don't think Keith Thurman has the brand that would interest Floyd Mayweather at this point. You know what I'm saying? You already beat Pacquiao. How much more credit would you give? Amir Khan, I think, has a bigger brand. He has a different type of dollar because he's from the UK, so he has that domestic money, and he reaches a different demographic, the Pakistani Muslim community, the UK community. So there'd be a different demographic of fans versus Keith Thurman is a really good fighter, and I really like Keith Thurman. I just think he's more of a, he's not he just had his big tough test against Robert Guerrero, and that's his biggest name. So I before Mayweather were to fight a guy like Keith Thurman, I think Keith Thurman has to get a more significant win to make his brand bigger. You know what I mean? He does a good amount of talking and stuff, but he still hasn't blown to that Canelo type of status where I think the money would be right where Floyd would select him. So truthfully, I see a guy like Amir Khan who can talk, has the speed, and I see a fight like that probably happening next. And the next question is from Money Matt. After seeing this fight Saturday, do you think it would have been a different outcome back in 2009? And 3 people thumbed that up. So that's like an example of what I'm talking about. When I see that, I usually pick questions like that. So shout out to Money Matt. I personally don't. I've told people for the last 5 years, and I've argued with people. It was just a matter of time of if this fight would actually come into fruition based on the politics and the disputes, and Floyd hates Arum and no drug testing, and then they say he's chicken, all that stuff. So I told people the same thing. If anything, I think Manny Pacquiao has become more reserved. He's aggressive in spots, but he's also passive. I think that reckless Manny is the Manny that would probably get knocked down or knocked out because he was still wild. Since the Marquez knockout, I'm trying to tell people, I'm trying to educate people. People were like, oh, I wanted more action. Manny Pacquiao in this fight did not press the action. He was the one that needed a knockout to win based on Harold Letterman, based on Steve Farhood and everyone with HBO and Showtime, their scorecards. Meaning he is the one, and the powerful guy, the guy who's considered the aggressor of the 2 styles, he needs to make a change, and he did not do that. So I think he has the remnants of the Marquez knockout, and he knows that's a reality, and he doesn't want to make the mistake. He's seen how sharp Floyd was with the counters, so he didn't want to jump in too recklessly. So ultimately, I don't see the outcome being any different in 2009. I think Pacquiao is, for the most part, the same fighter, maybe not as aggressive, but that would have created more openings, in my opinion, for Floyd Mayweather if Pacquiao was more aggressive. The reason, to me, that we didn't see any knockdowns or anything. Now, there's a chance that Pacquiao could, just from his aggressive, just be so overwhelming where he caught Floyd. But just from what I seen in technique and how Floyd was getting set up, I think in 2009 it would have been probably worse, because you have to consider also Floyd is 38. He's 2 years older than Pacquiao. So I'm sure he has slowed down too in terms of sharpness. I don't remember exactly who he fought in 2009, but he fought Ricky Hatton and Marquez right around that time frame. And if you've seen how he was moving versus Marquez, he was like untouchable. So if anything, I think it was a better Floyd too. You know what I'm saying? So I think he probably would have been a little bit more aggressive. And I think Pacquiao would have been more aggressive. The problem is Pacquiao was aggressive / reckless and didn't care because he hadn't been knocked out by Marquez at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I think he just would have been jumping into shit, and it would have been worse. His face probably would have looked worse, probably got a knockdown or knocked out. That's my honest opinion. Next question is from the Diesel. Do you think Pacquiao went into survival mode against Floyd due to his low punch output and timidness? Now, that's a good question. I kind of went over that a little bit, but just to touch on it, I think, again, the Marquez knockout, knowing that's a reality, having that in the back of your head, I think that coupled with the fact that Floyd has immaculate timing, it just made Pacquiao gun shy. And I told people my prediction, this is what Mayweather does. He nullifies your best weapon, makes you gun shy, and he makes fighters throw less punches than they're accustomed to throwing. Pacquiao, I mean, I didn't even see this. I thought Floyd would win the unanimous decision, like I said in my prediction video, but Mayweather doubled what Pacquiao threw and landed. That's crazy. I thought Pacquiao would at least let his hands fly a little bit more, but again, it's a different ball game being in there with someone. I've never seen Pacquiao land 88 punches in a whole fight. That's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? So I think he went into survival mode and did not go for broke because he knew that he was the one in the spot that needed to turn the tables. He needed to change the tide, the ebb and flow of the fight, right? So if he would have went for broke, that would have gave him a higher chance of doing something or landing a shot, but it also would have increased his chances of getting touched up and getting flashier shots. It's easy when you're, I used this Madden example before, but it's just a precise example of what I'm talking about. If you're playing Madden, like I play some people online occasionally, and I'm killing them, and they're down by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. They have to do all these wild plays. They have to do this crazy playmaking, go for it on 4th and 30 or whatever it is, because they're desperate. When you're desperate, you make mistakes. That's why they throw interceptions, because I know they have to go deep in order to beat me. They need 3 touchdowns. So same thing with Manny. He was the one that needed to change the fight and needed knockout to win in those late rounds. So he, in my opinion, is a person that needs to take the risk, but he knows what that comes with. Floyd, it didn't look like his counters weren't effective. So the more Floyd countered, and the more Pacquiao, the more aggressive he got later and the more desperate, it just probably would have been worse for Pacquiao, because Floyd looked like he had the bull by the horns and had a firm grip on the action after round 6. That's my opinion. And this question is from Luis Vargas. Ego, do you think Pac is full of shit about his injury? And this is another example. 15 people liked it. Now, I mean, I don't know if he had an injury or not. I mean, I see him in pictures with the cast on or the sling and stuff. I don't know, or I don't care either. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you didn't declare it before the fight. You look comfortable. It didn't look like he had a problem throwing punches, raising his arms at the press conference, anything like that. So to me, it's just an excuse, because I have no way of corroborating that. Mayweather also said he came into this fight with injuries. And it's funny how in boxing, people have such a short memory. I don't know if you guys remember all that. I was doing reports and videos about it around that time where they were saying Mayweather was knocking out sparring partners and Zab Judah and all kinds of stuff like that. There was a top rank / Team Pacquiao rumor that surfaced saying that Mayweather was getting busted up in sparring, and he had a cut lip and a cut on his eye and stuff like that. So to me, it sounds like both of these guys were training hard. An injury is possible, but no fighter comes into a fight at 100% health meter, period. So even if he had something wrong with his shoulder, it sounds like an excuse, because again, I can't corroborate it. I can't say how bad his shoulder was hurt, if it was even hurt at all. So bottom line, it looks like he had no problem throwing punches. So I can only go off of what I can see visually. And it sounds like a chicken shit excuse on why you lost. Now, it's different, a little bit different with Sergio Martinez, because, I mean, the man could not even stand up. Like in the first round, he got bum rushed by Cotto or whatever, knocked down. He couldn't even stand up. He had no balance. You look at Jermaine Taylor, Sam Solomon, same thing. He tore something in his knee and it was apparent. I mean, the dude could not stand up. But when I was looking at Pacquiao in training, media days, he was throwing punches. Like when he was do 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 do. There's videos of it. And he was throwing his both hands like fast as fuck. I was like, damn, Pacquiao's looking good. He's looking sharp. So, I mean, if he had an injury, he wasn't really nursing it, and it didn't look like it affected him. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can't cry over spilt milk. Nonito Donaire did that after he fought Guillermo Rigondeaux. He said, oh, not to make excuses, but I had a shoulder injury. People don't want to hear that, because you didn't perform, and we have no way to corroborate what you're saying. So no fighter comes in at 100%. I don't want to hear excuses later. I've seen fighters fight fights and finish the fight with broken jaws. I believe Paulie Malignaggi did it versus Cotto. So I don't care about him having a torn or whatever they're saying is wrong, a hurt shoulder. It wasn't like his arm was broken or some shit, and it was 3 to 4 weeks ago. You know what I mean? So I don't care if it's true. I don't know if it's true, but either way, it is what it is, and that's something you got to deal with. Get the fight, pull out of the fight, postpone it. You know what was at stake. I mean, instead of disappointing like your country or whatever and making people sad, I read a report. It said that the nation is sad in the Philippines because he lost and stuff like that. Instead of having this added and etched to your legacy, why wouldn't you do what's reasonable? I know people would be mad if he said, hey, I got to postpone it till September, but you still got to do what's right. So if the injury was that severe, he should have declared it in terms of postponing the fight. I mean, if it's going to compromise your performance to the point where you're going to make an excuse, it's that bad of an injury, then you got to do something, and you got to declare it and pull out of the fight, postpone the fight, and hopefully people will understand where you're coming from. Next question, Robert Harris. What do you think about the plea copping from Pacquiao? And I kind of went over it. I think it's just sour grapes, really. And I understand having a hero, a national, someone, an iconic figure like Pacquiao. That's great. But to me, that I don't like, some people value celebrities and look up to them like role models and just different stuff like that. These are regular people. I understand they inspire a nation and different things like that. Me personally, I just say give people a fair shake and be realistic. If Pacquiao won the fight, that's cool. You could say that. But it just sounds like sour grapes. Pacquiao was more humble in his defeat, even though I think he beat Timothy Bradley in the first fight. Didn't look great, but he beat him. I thought he clearly beat Timothy Bradley. And judges said he lost. And he was like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. God wanted this plan. And he was being real cool. Now you clearly lost to Mayweather. And all of a sudden, you don't even mention God. And you just sound like a poor sport. And I don't like that. I love good sportsmanship. I like when fighters just admit they're wrong. I did an interview, post-fight interview after the Terrence Crawford, because I went to that fight live as media. And Ray Beltran, I mean, to this day, it's one of the best post-fights, because Ray Beltran said straight up, he said, I've been robbed a lot of times. He said, but Terrence Crawford, I got to say, as a man, looking you in the eye, you honestly beat me, bro. He's like, you're the first person where I honestly feel no judges, no, they didn't get the wrong decision. You beat me, bro. That's what Ray Beltran said directly to Terrence Crawford.
Like I said one time already in his ear, Torres, you're the first guy that can really say beat me. I admit it, as a man. I'm a man, you know, I said my mistakes, I said when I lose, I said when, is it really guy that I feel my heart that really beat me? You beat me tonight, bro, the first guy that really beat me. You know, you're a great champion, bro. And for me, I'm grateful with the guy that I lose with you. They lose another guy that's so cocky and arrogant and respectful. You're a classic guy, and you deserve what you got, man. God bless you. Appreciate it. God bless you.
And that's great, and that's a Pacquiao sparring partner. So I just wish Pacquiao and his fans, instead of copping pleas, just admit the person lost. He tried. Props to him for taking the fight, but you don't got to lie and say, I mean, he didn't win that damn fight. Even his own network said he didn't win the fight. HBO, why would they lie? Jim Lampley doesn't sound like he fancies Mayweather. Why would he lie? So next question is from Samuel Hernandez Moreno. Similar question. What are your thoughts on hugging and running excuses along with the injured shoulder? Is Pacquiao retirement sealed after this fight? Now, your second part of your question, I don't think Pacquiao has to retire off of this. Again, there's no shame lose. That's why I don't understand these excuses. There's no shame losing to either Pacquiao or Mayweather. These guys are solidified, solid Hall of Famers. So, I mean, it's not like the end of the world. If Leo Santa Cruz lost to the Jake from State Farm, that's something to be embarrassed about, because he was ranked in the hundreds. So the guy, Jose Cayetano, that would have been an embarrassing loss. But for Pacquiao to lose to Mayweather, this is what he does. He makes everyone look bad for the most part. That's why he's 48-0. So I don't think he has to retire per se, but I don't know. It's a setback for his career. But I mean, again, unless you're Mayweather and you bring the same skill set and intelligence, then Pacquiao's still game, and he's still a tough fight for anybody at 140 or 147. So I don't think he has to retire. He just has to regroup more or less mentally. You know what I mean? And then the first part of your question, the hugging, running excuses, I already went over the injured thing, so you can kind of listen to my last response for that. As far as the hugging, running, it's all bullshit. At the end of the day, Mayweather's been a runner since Oscar De La Hoya, even though Oscar De La Hoya gave up all of the last rounds against Trinidad. But whatever. Mayweather's a runner, and he's been that in people's mind, the casual fans' mind, since Oscar De La Hoya, right? So my whole thing is this. Why wouldn't you prepare for a runner? And Freddie Roach even called him a runner and stuff in the build-up to the fight, and he said he has a game plan for that. So, again, it sounds like more sour grapes. Freddie Roach has interviews where he's saying that Pacquiao's going to do this, and we have the game plan, and we're going to KO him and wear him down, break him down. all this stuff. You talk a big, good game, and then all of a sudden, come fight time, oh, it's my shoulder. Come fight time, oh, he was running. I mean, it's the same rhetoric over and over again. When a fighter doesn't look good but they don't get knocked out, then it's because the other person was running. John Molina said it after Broner. Broner ran. I mean, it's not his job to stay in front of you and be a stationary target and slug it out with the known puncher. That's stupid. Who does that? Same thing with Pacquiao. Same thing with Robert Guerrero. He was like, yeah. Mayweather was quick, but he was running. And then Ruben was getting, oh, he ran, bro. Chicken cut it. He ran like a chicken with his head cut. I don't want to hear any of that because, again, train for the runner then. You guys are posting memes of a chicken and chasing chickens and all kinds of shit with Mayweather. You know what type of fight it's going to be. Why not prepare for it? It just, to me, it makes no sense. If I'm a cop and I've been surveying this dude because we're going to do a fucking police raid and he's a notorious drug lord, right? And I've scoped him. I know all of his background. I know he's committed murders before and he's drug trafficking and he's a weapons dealer and he has all this stuff. Then that's like me going over to the raid without a bulletproof vest or without a weapon. And then I get shot. Pow, pow. Oh, I didn't know he was going to do this. I didn't know he was going to blow my head off when he found out I was a cop. I mean, stuff like that is stupid. If you know he's a notorious murderer and drug trafficker and weapons dealer, why wouldn't you prepare for that? Why wouldn't you have people, snipers on the roof, the SWAT team or whatever you got to do to make the raid official instead of, oh, my cover got blown and he has a violent temper and he's killed 16 other people, but I'm not going to prepare for that. That's the whole goal. You prepare for these moments. And Freddie Roach knew what type of style Mayweather had. He said he had a game plan for it and a blueprint for it, and it turned out to be false. So you know what you're getting into. I don't deal with the hugging and running and eye socket hurt and shoulders excuses. And just take your loss like a man. You look at Sergio Martinez, we know for a fact there was something clearly wrong with his leg. And it was pre-existing because they mentioned it after the Chavez fight that he did all this damage to his knee and tore ligaments and stuff like that. So we knew going into the Cotto fight that Sergio Martinez had a bum knee, but he had been out of the sport for a year. We knew he had a long layoff and he was supposedly rehabilitating it. So when Cotto dropped him in the first round, to everyone's amazement, he dominated Sergio Martinez, people still gave Cotto credit. And we know for a fact. And the thing is, Sergio Martinez, shout out to Argentina, gave Cotto credit. Even though we know for a fact, he looked disappointed that he let his country down, but he gave Cotto props. Even though we know 100% unequivocally that he had a bum leg. You know what I mean? And Sergio took the higher road and was man and said, Cotto's a great fighter, I lost. You know what I mean? But Pacquiao can't do it. And Mayweather gave Pacquiao props, but you didn't see Pacquiao give Mayweather any props. Oh, I didn't feel his power. He ran all night. He should have stood still. Like who says that? Why would you stand still? That again, it's no one's obligation to make it an easy night for you. I look at things in the spectrum. Floyd Mayweather is the runner, ducker, defensive guy in the casual minds of fans, right? What's the opposite of that? Triple G. Triple G, he brings a fight to you. He has this menacing power. And he's all over you, throws punches and highlight reel knockouts and stuff like that, right? So polar opposites of the spectrum in terms of style. But one thing they have in common is they are very good about making you fight their type of fight. That's like me asking, even though Triple G has this menacing power, that's like me asking Triple G to not be Triple G. Hey, you know what? You're a little too good with cutting off the ring and doing those body shots that debilitate people. So can you not throw any body shots? Can you not set it up with a jab? Because this is just too much for me to deal with. That's in essence what people are asking Floyd Mayweather to do. You know what? You keep giving me different looks. You stand toe to toe, and then the next round you give me some lateral movement, toe to toe. I can't keep up with that. Stand still. That's stupid. Just like you wouldn't expect anybody to say, Triple G, don't use the tools and the skills and the strengths that you have, which is power. And I understand, okay, for a casual fan, his power and stuff is so awesome to watch. So that's entertaining to you. But there's us also fans who like the fact that a guy like Mayweather can make a Hall of Famer look like shit. So, you know what I mean? I appreciate all styles in boxing, and I would never ask Triple G to not use his strengths, the things he can do. Mayweather is talented defensively, offensively, defensively. He's a complete fighter. So if he wants to mix all those things into his game plan, I mean, why would anyone tell him not to use something that's working? It's just stupid. So again, sour grapes. Last question, Thomas Walters, ego. I was wondering, do you think Floyd seemed a bit gun shy after tasting Pac's power? And why do you think he wasn't throwing the overhand right or the looping right with the left hook after I feel Pac was open to it all night? Do you think they should rematch? In my opinion, I think the rematch Floyd will dominate. And why doesn't Andre just move up already since he's fighting at 173 catchweight? Okay, Andre Ward question. Let me blow that out of the way. Andre Ward, I mean, he's had a bumpy road with the promoter issues, rehab on his shoulder surgery and stuff. So I think he doesn't want to come crashing down a weight. He pretty much maintains his body weight, but you know what I mean, he probably doesn't want to kill himself for a non-title fight to make 168. I don't know how much of that would be killing himself per se, but after a long layoff, you don't want to abuse your body, especially when you're, you know what I mean, early 30s or whatever age he is. So I think he's just taking the soft touch, which is to be expected after the type of layoff he's had. So, I mean, I think eventually he'll move up to 175, but he wants to do it when he's ready. And there's a couple fights that I want to see. I would love to see Andre Durrell versus James DeGale winner fight Andre Ward. So there's a couple fights that are still meaningful at 168. I think eventually he will move up to 175, as those are the bigger paydays with the Kovalevs and people like that. He already said he's not fighting B-Hop, so guys like that, maybe even a Carl Froch at 68, and then move up to 175. So I think it'll come. It's just it'll come when he wants it and when his team wants it. As far as Mayweather being gun shy, I don't think he was gun shy after tasting Pac's power. And the thing that's amazing to me is in people's effort to clown Mayweather, they also are clowning their fighter and not giving their fighter props. We have to always consider Pacquiao was the fighter of the decade. So just because some people are saying, oh, Mayweather didn't impress me, he was up against a guy who was the fighter of the decade. So if he's not landing the same shots that he was landing on Robert Guerrero, isn't that a testament to how good and how dangerous Manny Pacquiao is? So to me, I don't think it was because he was gun shy of Pacquiao's power. Obviously, he felt Pacquiao's power, I'm sure, but I think Pacquiao is just so he's so fidgety that Mayweather didn't want to make any kind of mistakes. And using Robert Guerrero, another southpaw that Mayweather fought, he's slow. He's a lot slower. So Floyd looked a bit flashier in that particular fight because his Robert Guerrero's response time is not like Pacquiao's response time. It's not as hard to time Robert Guerrero because he's slower. So Pacquiao is a different animal because he's like a ball of energy, and he can get from point A to B really quick. So I don't think it was just purely Pacquiao's power. I think it's more of his awkward style. And again, like when you're fighting a guy like Robert Guerrero, he's a bit slower than Pacquiao. So Mayweather, he can be in and out and spend a little bit more time in and commit to maybe a punch more versus Pacquiao. Like let's say he was going to do that jab to the body that he's famous for. Against Guerrero, he's slower, so Guerrero might not be able to counter as fast as Pacquiao. But if you do that and Pacquiao comes with a quick counter, then you're in trouble because Pacquiao's probably stronger at welterweight than Robert Guerrero, and he's quicker. So I think Mayweather was I don't think he was gun shy. I mean, he threw more punches than Pacquiao, so I don't think that's the right terminology. But I think he was cautious because he was in there with a good fighter who has the ability to disrupt your rhythm with awkward movement, because Pacquiao does that. I mean, that's why I think that's what Pacquiao makes a lot of mistakes, point blank. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he's able in his career, he's able to overcompensate for that by the stuff he does positive. So even though he makes a ton of mistakes, not everyone can capitalize. That's why you're seeing guys like Bradley get rocked a bit. You're seeing Marquez get knocked down multiple times in their fights because Marquez is the better boxer, but Pacquiao's always good at his style, and he's very hard to read. He's like a whirlwind, Tasmanian devil style. So I think ultimately it wasn't just Pacquiao's power, it's his rhythm. He has the ability, and he's a southpaw. he's very dangerous because of that jackrabbit unorthodox rhythm that he always has. Like you know what I mean? Especially if he was feinting a bit more, it's hard to get a read on. So I think Mayweather played it cautious. He knew he couldn't stay in the pocket too long with some of his punches, so he would just hop back out, take a lap, stuff like that. I mean, it's just all smart boxing. And it's just, you don't want to give Pacquiao, a guy like him who's desperate, down on the scorecards, you don't want to give him any openings to look flashy, to capitalize. So, like, the best analogy I can give to describe Pacquiao's style is a regular person versus a person who's bipolar or a person who has Tourette's. So, meaning he's that unorthodox. A person who's bipolar or has Tourette's, you don't know what they're going to say next. They might blurt, fuck shit, bitch. You know what I mean? They might blurt something out versus the average person is not going to just blurt something out at the dinner table. But that's kind of Pacquiao's style. It's a bipolar style. It's a Tourette's type of style where you have to be careful because he could catch you with something with all that moving he does, and you know what I mean, when he does get his angles off and stuff. So that's my comparison to what Pacquiao does, and it's good and it's been effective throughout his career for him. And you have to keep in mind, last thing is, this is the guy they want to beat you. This is the people's champ. This is the guy that they were cheering for in your hometown and all this stuff. So I think ultimately Mayweather was like, fuck it, I'm just beating him. Skills beat him easy. Why take an unnecessary gamble or put him back in the fight by staying in the pocket too long in certain spots or fighting his type of fight when he's clearly up. He was clearly doing what he wanted. I mean, he was toying with him in the 11th round. So I don't think he was gun shy. I think he was just overall being cautious because he had a great fighter in front of him with an unorthodox rhythm, and it's not really easy to get a read on what he's going to do. So that's my best answer. That completes and concludes Monday Mail Day. Hope you guys enjoyed. More questions next week. Let me know how you think I did and your responses to some of these questions. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off.